You've heard the promise, right? AI can now write software for us. We can build products faster, cheaper, and get to market in a flash. But what if that speed is just a mirage? What if, hidden behind all those initial savings, there's a ticking financial time bomb? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on this new world of vibe coding and find out what it really costs your business.
You know, this quote from AI pioneer Andrej Karpathy it nails the feeling of vibe coding perfectly. It's fast, it's intuitive, and it's super casual. And hey, for a personal project, mostly works is totally fine. But when you take that same mindset and apply it to enterprise-level software, well, mostly works can quickly become a financial catastrophe.
And you can see the appeal. It's almost irresistible. For decades, building software has been this massive upfront cost, a huge capital expenditure, or CapEx. AI comes along and promises to just slash those costs, getting a product out the door at record speed. But as we're about to see, this promise can be a really dangerous illusion. The source material calls it the CapEx mirage.
This slide just lays out the trade-off perfectly. Look, on the one hand, you've got traditional code. Yeah, it's expensive up front and it takes time, but your long-term maintenance costs, your OpEx, are generally stable and predictable. Then you have vibe coding, which completely flips the script. It's cheap up front, it's super fast, but what about that maintenance cost down the line? That big question mark? That's exactly where the real risk is hiding.
Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of the paradox. To really get a handle on this risk, we have to look past the hype and define two brand new concepts that are popping up in this age of AI-generated code. Honestly, understanding these two ideas is the key to seeing the hidden costs.
So first, let's get a really clear definition of vibe coding. This isn't just about using an AI to help you out. No, this is a fundamental break. It's where a human just states their intent, like what they want the software to do, and the AI handles the implementation, the how. The problem is that critical link, that human understanding between the why and the how, just gets completely severed.
And that broken link, it creates this nasty new kind of liability, comprehension debt. The best way to think about it is like a high-interest loan you're taking out against your future team's sanity and your company's payroll. Just picture it. It's 3 years from now, 2 a.m., and a critical system is down. Your developer's staring at code written by an AI. There are no comments, no rationale, no why it was built that way. That feeling of sheer panic, that's the bill for comprehension debt coming due.
Now you might be thinking, isn't this just the same as the technical debt we already know about? And the answer is no, not even close. See, technical debt is usually a conscious choice. A human engineer knows they're taking a shortcut and why. Comprehension debt is totally different. It's created by a machine with zero intent. It scales at an insane exponential rate, and it turns your entire codebase into a black box that nobody on your team actually understands. So what happens when it's time to pay up on all this comprehension debt? Well, it doesn't show up as a neat line item on a budget. Instead, it shows up as a massive, out-of-control explosion in your operational expenses. Let's dig into exactly how that happens.
From a senior developer's perspective, this is where the absolute nightmare begins. AI models are fantastic at solving one specific problem in one prompt, but they have no holistic view of your system's architecture. So you end up with what developers call spaghetti microservices, this tangled mess where everything calls everything else with no rhyme or reason. A single click from a user might trigger this chaotic chain reaction of 10 other hidden calls. It's a system built like a house of cards.
And this right here shows the real-world cost. Studies are finding that vibe coding can lead to a 4 times increase in duplicated code. Now imagine a simple business rule has to change. Your developer now has to spend days, literally days, hunting down maybe 50 different copies of that logic scattered everywhere, and they'll probably miss one. That's not just wasted salary, that's a future system outage just waiting to happen. Which all leads to this absolutely staggering number. Early data is suggesting that for AI-generated code, the long-term maintenance costs can be 3 times higher than the initial cost of building it. That savings you thought you got up front, it wasn't savings at all. It was just debt that you deferred and multiplied. Just look at this chart. For normal, human-written software, maintenance is already a huge piece of the pie, like 50 to 80% of the total cost. But with vibe code, that cost just explodes. It completely dwarfs the initial investment. You're not paying to innovate anymore, you're just paying to keep the whole fragile thing from collapsing. And look, this isn't just an engineering headache. This is a direct threat to the actual value of your company, because when your software costs more to maintain than the profit it brings in, it stops being an asset.
It turns into a dangerous liability on your balance sheet.
Let's make this real with a quick scenario. We've got two identical companies, okay? Both doing $10 million in revenue. Company A uses smart, strategic engineering, so their maintenance costs are stable. Company B went all in on vibe coding, and now their maintenance costs have just exploded. And the result? Company B's profit, their EBITDA, is completely wiped out. And its valuation? It drops to zero. Same revenue, but a totally different and devastating financial reality.
And as if that's not bad enough, there are other huge risks. If a code base gets so messy that it's officially declared unmaintainable, accounting rules could actually force you to write its value down to zero, which would be a massive shock to investors. Plus, AI often pulls in outdated or insecure code libraries, creating security holes that can lead to data breaches that cost, on average, over $9 million.
Okay, so the picture I've painted is pretty grim. I get it. But the solution is not to just throw away AI. That would be a huge mistake. The real answer is all about governance, using AI's power in a smart, controlled, and safe way. The most effective strategy out there is what's called a human-in-the-loop shield. It's a three-step process. First, your experienced senior human architects design the skeleton of the system. They set the foundation. Second, you treat the AI like a junior developer. Give it small, well-defined, low-risk tasks. And third, and this is absolutely critical, a human engineer reviews, refactors, and takes full ownership of every single line of AI-generated code before it gets approved. So if you're a busy CTO or a tech leader, here are the key takeaways for you, framed as 3 simple questions for your team. Question 1, and it's the most important, do we have a human firewall? Is every single piece of code that an AI touches being reviewed and signed off on by an accountable human expert? Yes or no?
Question 2, are you actually planning for this future cost? You see, the promise of AI isn't to replace your senior developers. It's to free them up to do more important work, like designing architecture and, yes, paying down this new comprehension debt. Your hiring and staffing plans need to reflect that new reality. And finally, question 3, how are you managing security? This shadow AI problem is real. Do you have automated tools scanning for vulnerabilities? Do you have clear policies to stop the AI from pulling in insecure code? This isn't optional anymore. It's a core part of managing risk. In the end, it all boils down to this one single question. Is your AI strategy building a valuable asset for your company, or is it creating a massive future liability? AI is an incredible tool, for sure. But without discipline, without governance, and without human oversight, you might not be building the asset you think you are. You might just be taking out a very high-interest loan that your company simply can't afford to repay.